Thank you very much, Isabel. My name is Tricia Grow. I am the president of Competitive Communicators, and we take a moment every evening to go around the virtual room and introduce each other. I am from Pennsylvania. I live near Gettysburg, which is a very historical town. And today I am a unicorn in my unicorn room for Halloween. What do you like to dress up for Halloween or a special party? Isabel, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Madam President. I did not prepare for Halloween, but my daughter have an idea of dressing my dog Milo as a lion and take him on a Halloween trick and treat. Even though we did not let her apply this idea because I don't think she has good control of this dog. Actually, I've had time to control him right now, but I thought that would be a great idea for Halloween if we can control this guy. Back to you, Madam President. I'm struggling with him.
Thank you very much. Yes, training is definitely foremost for puppies. Adrian, our traveling Toastmaster, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Madam President, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. I'm here, happy to be here with you today. And unfortunately, I did not dress up for Halloween, although I do like to dress up for Halloween, but I never do. I just don't. I live in an RV. I have a small space. I can't have a bunch of costumes, but if I could, I absolutely would dress up as Romeo and Juliet. Yes, I'd ask my husband to dress up with me, even though he'd hate it. But back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And I see that we have a very famous person visiting us this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Spider-Man.
Madam President, fellow Toastmasters, future Toastmasters, I am Spider-Man, also AKA Vice President, Assistant Vice President of Membership, William Thomas, co-founder, co-sponsor, and I love dressing up for Halloween. This is when I'm going to dress up later on for Halloween, but if I make sure I go in my full costume so I don't get shot. If you don't think I'm a bank robber or anything. Madam President.
Thank you very much, William. I think that's a very brilliant idea. Next, Cannon, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself?
I am Kannan Shankara. I am from Baltimore, Maryland, very close to the nation's capital. I do not like to wear costumes, but I will be always eagerly waiting with a box of chocolate, and I will be very eager to see the kids walking to our door to take the treat and showing their costumes. I love to see others' costume. That is my pastime. I am eagerly waiting for Thursday. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And returning guest, Sandra, would you please introduce yourself? Yep. Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself, please.
There you go.
There it stays. Hi, my name is Sandra Paris, and for Halloween, I'm usually one of the Wicked Witches of the West. And one of my clubs that will be actually on Halloween Day, I'll be wearing my hat, and I'm actually Table Topics Master. So we'll be tricking and treating. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. That sounds like a lot of fun. Let's see here. Next, I would like, Hariam, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself?
Thank you, Madam President. Hello, everyone. This is Hariam from Jersey City, New Jersey. For Halloween, I have been dressing up like a Batman since last 2 years, and that is what I'll keep on doing going forward because I love that guy. Out of all the superheroes, I love Batman the most. So even this year I'll be dressing up as Batman. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Mike Thorn, would you please take a moment and introduce yourself?
Mike Thorne from Wilmington, North Carolina. I can't talk too much about Halloween, but I can tell you what I did yesterday. My cousin was playing golf in a tournament at Pinehurst, North Carolina. So my sister and I decided to go out and see him play golf. We started on the first green, first tee, went to the first green, second tee, second green, so forth and so on. We finally caught him up on the 18th green. So I know the entire golf course at Pinehurst, much to my distress. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Just think of all those steps you took. It was a good walking day.
I was in a cart.
Oh, well. At least you got some scenery then. Next, I would like to ask our Vice President of Education, Erin Long, please take a moment and introduce yourself. We can't, you're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Okay, apparently my mic is spoiled, but you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, hi, my name is Aaron. I am from Hong Kong right now, around 8 a.m. Still in a dreamy mode. I don't wear Halloween costume for my sleep, but I do have a screen share. This will be me if I'm going for a Halloween.
Aww.
If you're looking at the right-hand side, there's a cute little kid. That will be like me, but in an adult costume. So that will be around there. But I'm not wearing that in the morning. That's really crazy. I will be looked by a couple of people at my house, wondering what are you doing in sleeping in that costume. But yeah, so it will be a nice, great choice for me. What else do I talk about Halloween's? Yeah, we do really celebrate that. Sorry about Harry. Yeah, so we do celebrate Halloween in Hong Kong, but currently due to protests, there might be pumpkin throwing these days, so it should be fine. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Rolando, would you take a moment and introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everyone. My name is Rolando Goldman. I'm in Palm Beach, Florida. I'm glad to be here tonight. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. Harry, do you have your video and audio working this time?
Of course not.
Well, at least we can hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Wow. Because I was trying to figure out some way that I can ask you guys to politely let me know from your level of education, training, and experience how I can blame this on my wife. And I got, I came in the middle of this, so clue me in what the question is.
Just take a moment and introduce yourself. Where do you live? And what do you like to do for Halloween?
I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. My name is Harry Johns. And before I forget, because I keep forgetting what I'm, in a place where I can't do it. I still owe because they don't have my continuing records. I started with Toastmasters back in '69, I think it was. So anyway, I gotta pay it. So
I can have.
would you please email me or do something and say, "Hey, stupid, get the dues paid."
Yes,
And
I'll ask Hanan, our treasurer, to email you the link to pay your dues. Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. All right, out here means end transmission. Take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Harry. I'm glad that you're able to join us again. Again, welcome everyone. And at this point, I will be turning the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day. And today that will be Isabel Kadori. Please help me welcome Isabel.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a puppy wanted to get on the thing too. Sorry. Who is our inspiration of the day? Our meeting, sorry. Welcome everyone. Our meeting typically have three parts. I think I need somebody help me. I need to try to get this dog away. Can somebody take over my role? Let me get this dog.
Yes, Isabel, I will be happy to do that.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you.
You're
so
very
much.
welcome. There's nothing like having a puppy with full hands, right? Okay. Again, welcome everybody. I'm Adrian. I will take over Isabel's just to get her through this point. And do we have an inspiration of the day? I don't think we did, but I will share something that's very inspirational for me.
I have one if you want.
Perfect. William, take it away.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster and future Toastmasters, life, it has its ups and downs, but if you make it through the murky water, you'll find the path and you will be happier for it. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, William. Okay. I would like to now introduce our various pieces of our meeting. We can't have a meeting by just one person or with two people. So at this time, I would like to introduce our roles and have everyone explain what they are doing, what the role is. And I'm going to start with our awe counter of the day. Who is our awe counter of the day today? Okay. Let's go with grammarian. Who's our grammarian? William?
Yes, Madam Toastman. Job of the grammarian is to listen for the good use of the King's English and also come up with a word of the day. Today's word is gratitude. I'm going to say that in a sentence. I have a lot of gratitude being here with my fellow Toastmasters, celebrating our future, celebrating Halloween with my fellow Toastmasters. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, William. And since you are still speaking, quickly explain what body language monitor is, please.
Yes, Madam Toastmaster. The job of the body language monitor is to watch for good body movement and not so good use of body movement. For suggestions of not good body movement. Hands in the pockets, hands behind your back. Your hands should be always at your side unless you are directing traffic or signaling to incorporate something in your speech. Madam Toastmaster. And I will give a report on both roles when called by the Toastmaster or General Evaluator of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, William. Excellent. Okay, Aaron has volunteered to be all counter. So Aaron, can you please explain your role as all counter?
So good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron again, and basically my role will be the odd counter. The odd counter role is simply very simple. It's to keep track of unnecessary connectives throughout your speech. Or anytime you come on the stage, if you have those wordings, those repeated words that doesn't make sense in the sentence, that will be what I will be recording. I'll do my report at the end of the meeting. Back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, our next person, I am working on a timer. Hopefully, Rolando has agreed. So I'll give Rolando a minute before I have him introduce his role. So I will go and introduce my role. I am General Evaluator. And as General Evaluator, I will step up and introduce the speech evaluators to the meeting, as well as evaluate the entire meeting as a whole. At the end of the meeting, I will also provide an evaluation and some feedback to our club. And that is role of General Evaluator. Rolando, are you ready to tell us what timer does?
Yes, Madam General Evaluator. As a timer, I will be keeping track of time during each segment of the meeting. And I'm gonna signal the timing based on those, for a green, and you're gonna have a yellow, then you're gonna have a red, and after the red, you will have 30 seconds to wrap up. And then I will provide a report at the end of the meeting. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Rolando. And I think that is it for all of the roles. Nope, we have table topics mastered. William, did you explain table topics?
No.
I was playing table topics during that portion, Madam Toastmaster.
Perfect. There is nothing like jumping in at the last minute and not knowing what's going on, right? All right, I think that's it. Isabel, are you ready to take over?
Yes, thank you, Adrian.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone. Now let's start the prepared speech section. Our first speech is by our first speaker is Kenan Sankara. He's working on motivational strategies, level 4, building skills. This project is about motivating others. His speech is 5 to 7 minutes, and he will be evaluated by Harriet. Please help me welcome Kenan to the stage.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome kids. Recently, in Tamil Nadu, my state, in India, a TV station has started a reality show. This show is to identify a talented younger singer from the state who can sing songs in all genres. The contest is open to all kids up to 14 years. Prize money is a brand new house worth $100,000. It is in Indian rupees, 70 lakhs. I just converted to Indian dollars. The TV station earlier had announced that the audition for this concert would commence from 1st of October from all the city centers. I have just watched an audition in one small city center, and that was also edited and telecasted last week. Parents, along with the kids as young as 3 years, were standing in line from 5 a.m. for the audition to start at 9 a.m. Imagine that this is one small city, not even Chennai, the capital. Many of the kids could not even speak properly, but their parents wanted to participate them in the singing competition. One of the reasons could be in the last competition, a third prize winner was a 5-year-old girl. Most of the kids who are younger than 5 years were very sleepy as they were brought by their parents to participate in the competition. They woke up as early as 3 to 4 a.m. to travel to this audition place. The parents were standing in the long line, estimated around 800 to 1,000 people in that small city. The kids totally are not interested in the contest. They are more attracted by the freebies like lollipops, chocolate, and other things. Forget singing. Most of the kids could not even speak fluently. When their turn come to sing, they were just playing. The irritated kids' parents, they started pleading, cajoling, and requesting them to sing. When all the action did not yield result, they even start beating the kids that are 3 to 4 years old. I was feeling very sad to watch this. Some of the kids who were 8 to 10 years old sang very well and selected for the next round. This made their parents happy. I can understand that, but some of the kids, if they make a mistake, their parents showed immediately a reaction that this kid was a failure. I understand the prize money is very huge. I understand that the parents are disappointed that their kids could not win, but I still could not understand why they have to treat that the kids are the failures. I want the kids who have advanced to the next round to enjoy singing rather than focus on winning. Yes, winning is great, but winning without any hard work is not good. As a parent myself, I want to motivate the parents and help them to understand that winning is not everything. I understand the parents want to give the opportunity to the kids. If the kids lose in the first round, it is possible, they are the kids, but kids could improve and participate in the next year. The world has not fallen because the kids could not succeed in the first round. Have some gratitude on the kids for coming this far. Parents need to understand and help the kids to succeed in the next year. Instead of blaming the kids, they need to understand that judges wanted the kids to improve and understand from the judge what needs to be improved. Maybe they have to engage a music teacher and help them to succeed. Fellow Toastmasters, I am happy that the parents want their kids to be successful. They want to get they need to understand the gaps, and with the help of the music teachers, they need to make the kids win. I want to conclude by saying Thomas Alva Edison succeed inventing the bulb, I think after 1,000 failures. Failure is the stepping stone for success. I strongly encourage the parents to help the kids, not to blame the kids. Enjoy and help them singing. Enjoy their singing. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kenan. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. We should appreciate our kids. Our next speaker is Michael Thorn. Michael is working on Persuasive Influence Level 3, Increasing Knowledge, Understanding Conflict Resolution. Conflict on a project can rise from many sources, but one of the most common is the inherent push and pull between functional areas. This is especially true if one of the faction is led by a dominant personality, such was the case in the project being described by Mike Thorn. His speech is titled Project Distress, and the speech time is 5 to 7 minutes. Please help. Mike's speech will be evaluated by Aaron. Please help me welcome Mike.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. In Hanan, I think you're going to recognize most of what I'm going to be talking about. I've been a project manager for many years. And during those years, I became quite accustomed to working in what can only be called stressful situations created by de facto matrix organizations. If anybody's ever been in a matrix organization, they know what I'm talking about. You're dealing with people who are assigned to your project, but they're still answerable to their functional areas. And so they're pulled in two directions at all times. I like to think I was reasonably adept at helping these people straddle their differing requirements, but every so often, a situation would arise that clearly resulted in a conflict and just as clearly required resolution. So to give you a little bit of background, Toastmasters discusses this a little bit, and they offer 4 causes of conflict, 4 common causes of conflict: misunderstanding, conflicting styles, varying points of view, and situational challenges, all very common. They also recommend 4 equally common approaches for resolution: identification of a conflict, active listening, negotiation of solutions, and empathy. I think we can all agree with all of those. The ultimate goal, of course, is to achieve the overall objective with everyone's concurrence. Stated in such simple, direct terms, what could be easier? This is a piece of cake, right? Well, in my situation, I had a very, very strong-willed business representative who viewed her role as being that of exercising extremely close control and oversight of the IT developers on the project. Regardless of what else they did, she was going to exercise control. During team meetings, which occurred every week, she would invariably begin with a few softball questions and then rapidly escalate into stinging rebukes on what they were doing and how they're doing it. I actually saw her move seasoned developers to the point of tears. It was a pretty awkward situation every week. In short, what she's doing is she's dividing the team into functional areas that were competing for each other. As a consequence, the project started to fall apart. Project team members became very creative as to why they could not attend the weekly meetings. The assigned developers would become absent due to their work on other projects. An open discussion came to a halt. Nothing happened. As a project manager, I had to do something and do it quickly, very quickly, to avoid having the project implode, and even worse than that, having senior management step in. Because the last thing I wanted was to see senior management come in to help us. So as I reflected on the situation, I quickly realized that the 4 reasons for conflict were all present. But the chief culprit was conflicting styles. The business person, as it turned out, had no friends and apparently had no desire to make any friends. Further, she had a varying point of view from everyone else on the project in that she was the only one that knew the correct process. She was the only one who knew what to do. And anybody else could barely be tolerated. Having identified the nature and outcome of the conflict, that was the easy part. It was my direct responsibility to resolve it, to do something about it. And oh, by the way, successfully complete the project in terms of cost, schedule, scope, and quality. What to do, what to do, what to do. As I pondered the situation and key personalities involved in it, it occurred to me that active listening and empathy were the key factors. Accordingly, over a period of time, I would casually drop by this person's office and discuss how things are going with the organization and the world affairs. And eventually I would work my way around to the project and her point of view concerning it. It turned out that she felt totally isolated from the team because she felt no one was listening to her. Surprise, surprise. That caused her to ratchet up her observations in quotes, on the work of others. As I reviewed her concerns with her, I was able to show her that other people were listening to her. They did appreciate her concerns. Then, to further soothe her, I brought in the technical manager. Of course, before I brought him in, I had a conversation with him in advance. And together, we would just listen to her concerns. The effect of just listening to her served to establish a degree of empathy that led to a markedly improved situation. And the project rapidly came back on track. Now, before I become too excited, anything I'd done would be an improvement. But luckily, I hit upon the one item that really made a difference. This approach not only saved the immediate project at hand, but also other future projects where I had to work with the same individual. Let me repeat that, the same individual. In each instance, the technical manager and I would sit with her and just listen to her concerns to establish empathy. It had a somewhat brutal impact on our personal psyches, but it did serve to complete all of our projects on scope, schedule, cost, and quality. And Kanaan, I'm sure you'll agree, as will everybody else, that was my job as a project manager, to bring everybody together, working together, and making the project complete. And I'm so happy to report I did just that. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mike, for sharing your story, how to bring everybody together. Now let's have a 2 minutes break because I previously forgot to have the 1 minute break after Cannon's speech. Now, Mr. Timer, would you please give me a reminder after the 2 minutes, and let's give our feedback and words of encouragement to two speakers, Mike and Cannon.
Time is up, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Now I would like to introduce our third speaker. Our third speaker is our President, Tricia. She is working on the Competent Communication Manual, Project 3, Get to the Point. Her speech is titled, Living Life Backwards. And Tricia is working on complete one last Competent Communicator Award before the June 2020 deadline. Let's welcome Tricia to the floor.
Have you ever felt that you're running around in a vicious circle, around and around and around, and never getting one step closer to your goal? Well, my friends, that certainly has happened to me. And I think it all began with the day of my birth. Picture it, October 1971, and my father sitting watching the baseball game. Now, it's not just any baseball game, mind you. This is the World Series. This is the ultimate baseball sports enthusiastic gaming. Weeks and weeks of games. You don't mess with my dad when he's watching baseball, let alone the World Series. But nevertheless, my mother, Patricia, comes in the door. David, it's time. I haven't even watched the first inning. Let me just see who's up next to pitch. A few minutes later, she comes back into the room. David, it's time. We have to go to the hospital. Time for the baby. Well, reluctantly, my father got up and took her to the hospital, where many hours later, I decide to finally grace this world with my presence. I can't come out just like any other baby. No. I came into this world backwards. To make it completely politically correct, I was rear facing forward. I was mooning the entire hospital room. I came out backwards, and I continued to live my life this way for quite some time. Well, fast forward a bit when I entered kindergarten, where I learned my colors and how to share. And at the end of the year, my teacher pulled my parents aside. Tricia will not be going to the first grade. She doesn't speak in class. She does not participate. She held me back. Do you understand what this means? I failed kindergarten. I failed kindergarten, people. Do you understand? This is a one-time only event. Very few people have managed this accolade, but here I am with you today. You now can say, hey, I know someone who failed kindergarten. But this is only my first failure. You see, only a few short years later, I also failed 5th grade. This is actually a blessing in disguise, because when I entered my 2nd year of 5th grade, they sent me for some testing and found out that I was dyslexic. Dyslexia is a learning disability, and in my case, I saw things backwards, words and letters specifically. So if you saw cat as C-A-T, I would see cat as T-A-C. Now, still spelled cats and meant cats, but I saw it completely backwards than everyone else. And this is where all my learning problems stem from. Once I was diagnosed, I was sent to someone who helped me actually relearn how to learn. And once I had gone through that extra training, extra therapy, I started to be able to read. Now, I just didn't read. I devoured books. I just couldn't get enough information to me fast enough. I would read 3 or 4 books at a time, at the same time, and be able to tell you what book was going on and which story was going on and which book, and I would be able to retain it and did much better on tests. I finished high school and actually went to college. Now you might be asking yourself, why are you sharing this? Because you most likely weren't born backwards, and you most likely don't have dyslexia or maybe even any other learning disability. But I know at one time in your life or another, you've been in that vicious circle where no matter what you do, it just doesn't seem like you can get one step further, just going around and around, not making any progress at all. I'm here to ask you to consider, to ask someone who's completed what you want to complete. Ask them for help. Ask them to be your mentor. Ask them what steps they took to get out of that vicious circle. Friends, once you're out of that vicious circle, life doesn't go backwards anymore. So I hope you'll take this little piece of advice from your kindergarten failure, and you will not have to live your life backwards anymore either. Back to you.
Thank you, Tricia. This is I think it's the least third time I heard the same speech, but you introduced a different content. It's more interesting every time. Thank you. Now let's have 1 minute silence, and members, please send your feedback and encouragement to Tricia through the chat.
Toastmaster, 1 minute is up.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Now we will start the impromptu speech section of the meeting. To conduct this segment, we will have Toastmaster William Thomas. Please help me welcome William.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and future Toastmasters. Yes, I am your Table Topics Master. What is the job of a Table Topics Master? To give you a question you may or may not know the answer to. So please pay attention to the questions because they will not be repeated. All the questions will be around Halloween. Mr. Timer, can you give us the timing requirements for Table Topics?
Sure, Mr. Table Topic Master. 1 minute, you get the green light. At 1 minute and 30 seconds, you get the yellow light. At 2 minutes, you get the red light. And you have 30 seconds to wrap up. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Okay, first question. What scares you about Halloween? What scares you about Halloween? Sandra. And I noticed that you were not paying attention to the question, so I'll repeat it for you. What scares you about Halloween? What scares you about Halloween?
Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Toastmasters, Halloween. I was born in a tiny island in the Caribbean called Barbados. We do not do Halloween in Barbados. There's no oogles and goblins running around the streets masked. So when I came to North America, this was something I had to get used to. Going out in the streets and seeing people in these gory costumes, blood and mangled, and it is scary. I've learned to appreciate just a wee bit about Halloween, but I still cannot get over why someone would walk around with a cutlass or a pitchfork stuck into the back of their heads, or an arm with blood coming down the sleeves. Cannot get accustomed. So it's the gore or the way that people dress their properties up with all of these skeletons and things of the dead. What scares me about Halloween, Mr. Table Topics Master, is the blood, the gore, and all of those gruesome things that people do to themselves on their properties. Mr. Toastmaster. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Second question. If you could dress up as your favorite hero during Halloween, who would that be? Rolando.
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmaster, and most welcome guests. As Sandra just said, I myself don't celebrate Halloween. But if I had to dress up to go to a Halloween party, I think I'll be Michael Jackson. If I know that's not scary, but Michael Jackson is my idol. When I hear his songs, Beat It, and all the songs that he make, whenever you hear the songs, you got to start moving to the beat. So going to a party, I know it's supposed to be scary, Halloween party, but me, I don't enjoy fear. I don't want to be scared. I want to have fun. Therefore, I want some music. I want something that I enjoy so I can celebrate with my friends and my family. Therefore, if I'm going to a party and in order to be scared, I don't want to be at the party because I'm going to a party to have fun. So that's why I will dress up as Michael Jackson so I can dance my feet off all the way all night until the party ends. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Okay, we have time for two more and then that will be it. Third question. What is your favorite thing about Halloween? Our Vice President of Membership.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. As you were just asking that question, I was thinking about what is my favorite part of Halloween. Halloween is one of those holidays that starts off the rest of the end of the year holidays. You start it with candy. Oh my God. I have such gratitude for candy. I love candy. I cannot buy candy at all because I will eat it. And my husband and I will just eat it, eat it, eat it. Instead of beating it like Michael Jackson would, I would eat it. In fact, I think that was Weird Al Yankovic who said that one too. He would eat it. That is my favorite thing about Halloween is the candy and the sugar high, which is terrible because what comes after Halloween? Thanksgiving. Well, what's at Thanksgiving? All the treats and all the delicious foods. And then Christmas comes and oh yes, more sweets. Halloween is one of those holidays for me though, that I like to send my year letter to everybody just to let them know how I'm doing. Everybody does it at Christmas or at New Year's. I take advantage of Halloween. So my favorite thing about Halloween is the candy and the fact that I've turned it into my annual communication for everybody else. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you. This will be the last one. Where you live, do they celebrate Halloween? And I'm not sure how to pronounce this person's name. Shriyagupta.
That's Shriya.
Shriya, the
Yeah.
question is yours. Do they celebrate Halloween where you're from?
So I'm from India, and in India we don't celebrate Halloween, but Halloween usually falls very close to one of the most famous festival, that is the festival of light called Diwalis. So on Diwali we decorate our houses with lights and clean up our houses, and everybody gets together, share sweets, burn crackers. So we do that thing. So there's a famous joke that in India, people clean their houses on Halloween, and in America, like for Diwali, we clean up the houses, and in America, people decorate their houses with spider cobwebs. So yeah.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you everybody for participating. Mr. Timer, did all our table topic speakers qualify?
Mr. Table Topic Master, all brought one. Everyone's qualified but one.
Who was the one who was not qualified?
Shriya Gupta. She has only done 52 seconds.
Okay, okay. So then you can vote for everyone except our last table topic speaker, and send your votes to our president, who is our vote counter. So we'll take a minute for that, and then we'll go into general evaluations.
Well, thank you, William, for handling the table topics. That was an exciting segment, and it tied with our meeting theme about Halloween. And now we will soon start our general evaluation section of the meeting. And also, please send your vote about the prepared speakers and the table topic speech to our President Tricia. And I believe her screen name is Competitive Communicators. For the evaluation segment, we will have our Toastmaster Adrian Pearson. Adrian also helped me with the Toastmaster of the Day role. Thank you, Adrian. Let's welcome Adrian as the general evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. There is nothing like having a great group of fellow Toastmasters to jump in when you need them. Again, I have so much gratitude towards that. As William and Isabel already mentioned, this is the evaluation part of our meeting. I will introduce our speech evaluators and then move into reports. I would first like to call Hariam to the podium, who is evaluating Kanan. Hariam, take it away.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. So my dear Toastmaster, guest, and especially Kanan, what a speech. You spoke about building the skill sets for kids and what parents can do about it. And what can be a better way of telling the messages other than the story. So you gave an example, you gave an anecdote of a singing contest in Tamil Nadu, your state in India, where there were like a lot of kids who were willing to participate in the singing contest, and the parents were forcefully asking them to participate. They were beating the kids, and the kids didn't enjoy the entire process, but still they were forced into that singing contest just for the prize money. Amazing example, and I can totally relate to it, not because my parents were like that. I have seen a couple of my friends whose parents forced them into doing something, and they were not motivated, they were frustrated, and they lose or they lost passion, or they didn't want to go into those kind of areas where the parents wanted them to go. And through the entire speech, you had very good messages. So you mentioned about the points that winning is not everything. That was amazing message. Then there was other point that you mentioned, that kids should enjoy the process. Again, good message. And the third one was, which I felt like exceptional message, was the kids should have some mentors. They should get some help from the teachers and some mentors. And finally, you concluded with a great example of Thomas Alva Edison, and you mentioned that even the kids, I mean, similar to Alva Edison, who had like 1,000 failures, kids should learn from their failures. Amazing message to end with. Couple of positive aspects about your body gestures. You had very good vocal variety. You had good hand gestures. You took pauses at the right moment. And there were good visual representation as well, when you mentioned that parents beating the kids and parents not willing, kids not willing to sing. So there were good visual representation throughout your speech. There were a couple of things I thought I would like to challenge you on. And one is that there was just one example you gave for the entire message that you mentioned. So there could be few more examples that you could have given. And what I felt that they were like back and forth in terms of the messages. So there was no one takeaway I could get. There were, of course, very good messages, but there was one takeaway that was missing, and that could have been there in the end. Although there was this example of Alva Edison, but that could have been framed in slightly better way. Overall, amazing speech, and a big gratitude to you for bringing out the points, especially the points that will help parents to take care of their kids, and looking forward to more speeches from you. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Hariam. Next, I'd like to invite Aaron to the podium. Aaron, it's all yours.
Thank you. So I'm really honored to be evaluating Mike Thorn in his speech related to understanding conflict resolution. Objective is to really let us understand the steps and strategies to address conflict in the scenario that he illustrated. Now, when I hear Mike's speech itself, I was deeply down into his scenario. He simply just threw us with that situation. And usually I would definitely applaud for the part whereby he illustrated what he have learned from the manuals and addressed directly to the scenarios itself. Now, in the whole process itself, I was looking forward to a kind of like, whether Mike really learn something from it. 2, whether really the applicability happens on the speech. And finally, what is the results? I want to know whether there is any results after this conflict resolution. Now, as I look at every single part of what Mike did, I would comment on his 3 points, the good positive points. 1, he handled it with a very detailed structure, where always listing the 4 different steps of how to handle, or 4 different scenarios of how to handle conflict resolutions, and how he actually let us personalize that character that the target person would be like. For example, you were saying that, that person has a specific attitude from or perspective issue that you are trying to address. And let us break it down into different scenarios. So it's logically speaking, is really great. Now, the second part I love is about the composure and pace, whereby we can actually digest whatever he says, so we can follow it up. And finally, the part that I really love the most is the animated part about there's obviously the first solution and then adding the word "der." I was like, wow, okay, so obviously you are very experienced in dealing with that. Now, after all this evaluation part, which is kind of really brief, I want to focus on the challenging points. The first thing is I would love to hear about the dialogues. Why do I say the dialogues will be very important in this conflict resolution is that the conversation between you two, or when you actually talk with her, I would love to see the intensity, the severity of this problem. And when you actually illustrate it, we can actually visualize the whole scenario, like that person is right in my face, and how am I going to solve that problem with her? So I really love to appreciate that there will be more dialogues that I can actually get involved into it. Now, the second part I would like to challenge Mike on would be that, is there any happy scenario that at the summary, because at the end you actually conclude about the whole scenario, I would like to see about the ending, or maybe the summary of the steps that we've taken, which one worked and which one doesn't. So if you actually do the summarization of everything, then I can actually have a better understanding of the whole thing. And finally, I really love about how you set an example of solving conflict resolution, because you give us a very lasting impression of that scenario into it. So all in all, great job for Mike. I would like to challenge on those 2 points. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to invite Sandra to the podium. Sandra, take it away.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. I'd like to offer my comments on Tricia's speech as how I received that speech. And Tricia, I'd like to evaluate you on how I saw you, how I heard you, and how you made me feel at the end of the day. I really love the way you opened your speech. Your introduction was great. You set the stage. You grabbed my attention first off the bat. Have you ever fell into that vicious circle? And immediately I could relate, because I have, and I wanted to know what vicious circle you fell into. And then you set the stage of your incoming or pending birth, with your father watching baseball and your mother coming in and telling him it was time for him to get up and get to the hospital so that you can present yourself to the world. All of that was great. I liked the way that your parents, your personal parents, you had great facial expression, and you got into the story as to how you came into the world backwards. I especially like the mooning of everyone in the delivery room and thereabouts. I liked the smile. I liked your rate of speech. I liked your tone and pitch. Everything had the makings of a really good speech. Some of the things that I'd like to have seen, I would have taken it to the next level for me, would have been to have some more facial congruity. And by that I meant, when you talked about the vicious circle when you were in it, compared to the dyslexia and having failed kindergarten and having failed 5th grade, if you had probably made yourself or added incredulity, if it could have been incredulous the way that you failed these 2 things, it would have juxtaposed it against when you really had been diagnosed and got out of the cycle. I also would have liked some more vocal incongruity again when you talked about your mom. She is in labor. If you had added a little bit of a dramatization to that, it would have really taken it to the top for me. The conclusion a more stronger, a more emphatic conclusion would have taken it to the hilt. When you find yourself caught in that vicious circle, I implore you, it's like a call to action, to ask for help. So dramatize that a bit more, and it would have really taken it to the next level. Great speech. I like the way that you incorporated your title throughout your speech. That kept it together. And you talked about the reasons how I made it, life going backwards for you, and how you excelled in the end. Great job, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Sandra. Wonderful evaluation. Before I get into my aspect or my portion of evaluating the meeting, I'd like to call on my fellow Toastmasters for some reports. I'd first like to call our all counter, Aaron.
Thank you. My accounting report is pretty simple because most of us have pretty fluent English, and also the repeated words are not too obvious. The only people that I've noticed that have spoken a lot of unnecessary connective, when I say a lot, meaning less than 5, is William, which actually spoke twice on Kanan with a couple of N's, and that's all for the unnecessary connective reports, because everyone did very well, kept it within 1 or 2. Other than that, I might have missed out, but pass the stage to Adrian.
Thank you, Aaron. We are all working very hard on those filler words. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call our grammarian, William.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and future Toastmasters. My General Evaluator report, we all had good uses of the English language. We had 3 people that used the word of the day. Madam General Evaluator, you used it twice. And I forget who the other person that was who used. I think it was Tricia. Was the other person that used it? No? Okay. Well, now I forget who the other person was. But I know we had 3 people. I forget who the other person was. That's my report as grammarian. Now my report as body language monitor. We all had good body movement. I couldn't find anything wrong. Those are my 2 reports. I turn the floor back over to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, William. As always, putting on multiple hats. Appreciate it, William. Next, I'd like to call our timer, Rolando. Rolando, give us our timer's report.
Sure, Madam General Evaluator. This is the report. For the speakers, we have Kanan at 5 minutes and 43 seconds. We have Mike at 7 minutes, 7 seconds. We have Tricia at 6 minutes and 18 seconds. For table topics, we have Sandra, 1 minute and 28 seconds. Rolando at 1 minute and 45 seconds. Adrian at 1 minute and 21 seconds. Shreya Gupta at 52 seconds. For evaluators, we have Eliam at 2 minutes and 59 seconds. We have Aaron at 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Finally, we have Sandra at 3 minutes and 18 seconds. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Rolando. This next part, I would like to start my evaluation for the meeting. And we don't typically evaluate evaluators, but I'm going to tonight anyways, because I think it's important and I'd like to provide some feedback. Sandra, oh my goodness, fabulous, fabulous evaluation. Lots of passion and enthusiasm in your evaluation. Really appreciate what you brought to the table, as well as stepping up to the plate as a guest to being an evaluator. Thank you. Aaron, again, very well done. You are so organized and detailed. I really liked how you did the 1, 2, 3, or when you summed up your last conclusion, your last thought, you always did a lastly or finally. I always learn something when you speak. Thank you. And Harriam, again, you did well job. Very, very good job. I really like how you used and left your challenges towards the end of the speech. It's very typical for us to do a positive, a challenge, and then a positive, that sandwich, but I really liked how you left it towards the end. It really helps speakers kind of zone in on what those challenges are. For the meeting as an overall, I thought we did a really good job. William, I really appreciated you. In the beginning of our meetings, you were trying to keep us on time and announcing the time, so that helped keep our flow. Yes, we did have some technical difficulties, but people stepped up, people helped out, and it really helped continue the flow of our meeting. And everyone, thank you so much for a great meeting. That wraps up my evaluation. I'd like to pass it on to our Toastmaster of our meeting, Isabel.
Thank you. Thank you, Adrian. That was a great general evaluation. Well, I don't have too much to say. Hopefully, we already voted our best evaluator, and I would like to pass the stage back to President Tricia.
Thank you very much, Isabel. Yes, I agree, even though we had a couple of technical hiccups at the beginning of the meeting, we managed to keep on going, and that's what our teamwork does. We work together well, and we were able to help each other bridge that gap. So thank you, everyone, for bearing with us with all the technical issues. And I would like to, before I reveal the poll, I would like to ask our returning guests and what they thought of tonight's meeting. I'll start with Sandra. How did you enjoy tonight's meeting?
As usual, I did. I'm still getting used to online meetings because I'm so familiar with the brick and mortar type of meeting. There's still a couple of things that I need to understand, with the online type of meeting. And I'd like to do a speech to see, because again, sitting down in front of a camera is completely different to being in a room where you have full use of, the room and your space and all that. But it's growing on me. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and we welcome you back. And Shreya.
I enjoyed the meeting again. And I love the part that the meeting happens weekly so that you are in the flow of the meeting. Yeah. So it makes me now more encouraged and excited to give a speech myself as well. And hopefully I do it in the next few weeks.
Great. If you need any help, please reach out to our Vice President of Education, Erin, or Vice President of Membership, Adrian. Or myself, too. I'd be happy to help you as well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do have our polling results. Our favorite prepared speaker was actually a tie. It's a tie between Mike Thorn and myself. So I'll give Mike first dibs on sharing his thoughts on being tiebreaker prepared speaker favorite.
I find that hard to believe because I didn't even vote. And I would vote for myself. I think that people are being very, very kind, and I thank them. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you. I think I mostly got a sympathy vote because I fell right before I was getting ready to speech. Continued on like a trooper. Anyway, we'll move on to our table topics. Only one person got a vote, so by default, they win. Rolando, would you please share your thoughts on being the table topics winner?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, everybody. I enjoyed the meeting, and whoever voted for me, thank you very much. And being here, it's like I feel at ease and being in Toastmasters because I learned so much from you guys. I learned so much from the speeches. from table topics, from evaluation. So I always look forward to come here and share time with you guys and work with you and learn and understand things. So thank you for the vote, and I look forward to next week. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. And our favorite evaluator for this evening was our guest, Sandra. Please, Sandra, take a moment and share your thoughts on being our favorite evaluator.
I'm not muted. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster President. Thank you all for voting for me. It is humbling. I try to give as much feedback as I can because I'm from a school of thought that you're only as good as your evaluations. And a lot of people say speaking, you take every opportunity to speak, which is great, but you can't get better unless you know what you're doing wrong, what you need to improve on necessarily. So I try to give as much as I can in terms of how you receive a speech. And I don't know if it is done here, but it's one of the things that we've always done, and everybody gives you an evaluation. So hopefully that is something that that we try to do to help each other, because that's why we're here, to learn and grow from the support of our peers. So again, namaste.
Thank you very much, Sandra. It is very much appreciated. Just one last thought, and if you're watching this recording or if you're here this evening, it's important to note that this club meets Eastern Standard Time in the United States, and we will be experiencing something called the
Daylight
savings time. Thank you. I know what it's called, but can't think of it.
Saving is going to end.
If you're not in the United States, or in the United States where they don't use the daylight savings time, please be aware that you will need to come to the meeting 1 hour later than normal until the spring, where we come back to the same time again. I will try and remember to send out an email to all our members reminding you the exact date, as I don't have it right here in front of me, but I think it's happening this Sunday.
Yep.